Next, we move on to Afghanistan, where the Taliban's tight limitations have grabbed the nation. The hardliners have deprived millions of Afghan women of their right to education, ousted tens of thousands of women from jobs, and banned women's businesses and all sorts of activism. They have trampled on Afghan women today and forced them into dark ages. A report. Since the Taliban group stormed back to power in Afghanistan in August 2021, the group has been clamping down on women's rights by barring them access to education and public spaces. In December 2022, these restrictions were tightened with a ban on women working in non-governmental organizations, NGOs. In April 2023, this was extended to local UN workers. Taliban restrictions in Afghanistan, especially the bans on education and NGO work, have drawn fierce international condemnation. But the Taliban have shown no signs of backing down.
Over the last 2 decades, women have taken a central stage in NGOs, in UN work in Afghanistan. But what happened with the coming back of the Taliban, that they have debarred women from all such kind of work, including NGOs and now the UN. So this is definitely going to affect, because they don't have that kind of workforce. So those people who have already trained in those processes, the development activities, now if you remove them, how are you going to replace them? That's a very big question. So that is why this work is going to be affected. It will affect Afghanistan at a juncture when it is facing a humanitarian crisis.
The ban on UN female staff from working has hampered efforts to help Afghan people amid a crumbling economy and widespread hunger. According to a recent report of Human Rights Watch, Afghanistan remains one of the world's worst humanitarian disasters. The country's 2/3 population is food insecure, and the situation has further worsened after the ban on women working for NGOs and United Nations.
Afghanistan is on the verge of an humanitarian crisis. They need a lot of international support. The entire population may go into the poverty cycle very soon. So that is where the Afghanistan is right now. The governance is in a very poor stage, particularly because Taliban has not accommodated people who know things well, who worked in the last government. They know a little bit of technical things. So that is where the Taliban is lacking in the terms of using the resources that are available, human resources particularly, that is available within Afghanistan.
The Taliban had promised to respect women's rights when they swept back to power, but ever since their return, there has been steady streams of setbacks. In March of last year, the Taliban broke their promise to reopen secondary schools for girls. 2 months later, women were forced to veil their faces as well as their hair. In September, Women's Affairs Ministry was disbanded. Thereafter, in December, the all-male interim government ordered all foreign and domestic non-governmental groups in Afghanistan to suspend employing women, as some female employees didn't wear the Islamic headscarf correctly. The Taliban regime has failed to earn recognition from any UN member state because of their rigid and intransigent mode of governance. Their inability to transform their mindset on issues such as women freedom. Taliban government should understand that a country can't survive in the 21st century by pursuing a retrogressive and ultra-conservative approach. The eventual outcome of suppressing the freedom and creativity of women will be the erosion of Afghan society. Banning women's movements, curtailing all their freedom, health and education will augment frustration and anger among the Afghan women.